See, guys, not only does this guy come prepared for battle, he's already smoking. Probably would look more convincing if it wasn't made of plastic. Hello, everybody. Sparkster1701 here. And we're taking a look at one of the 13 primes from the Age of the Primes line. We have probably the most famous one of them, Megatronus, or the Fallen. This version of the Fallen is based on his appearance from the Transformers War Within the Dark Ages comics, along with his alternate mode being based on the designs that were put into the More Than Meets the Eye guidebooks that I reference frequently on this channel. Megatronus is the character that would betray the Primes during their battle against Unicron, and hence the Decepticon leader Megatron would eventually take his name from Megatronus. Megatronus was gifted the Requiem Blaster, which is this gun over here, by his lover amongst the Primes, Solus Prime, as she designed many of the weapons they used in their battle. Megatronus did refuse to give it up after the battle was over, and hence that led to his fall from grace with them. It is also suggested in some media that he wound up killing Solus Prime during the attempts to take the Requiem Blaster from him. Now, of course, another version of Megatronus was seen in the Power of the Primes cartoon series, serving as the series' main antagonist. Whereas in it, he was also assisting in the revival of Unicron. And his chief minion was at one point foreign exclusive character, Overlord. But of course, that version of Megatronus had a totally different design. Many of you Transformer fans know of the Fallen more from Michael Bay's films, particularly the second one, Revenge of the Fallen. But given how that movie turned out, the less said about it, the better. But at any rate, this figure of Megatronus, it comes with a boatload of accessories. So, why don't we start off with it by taking a look at the accessories. We start first with the Requiem Blaster. It's a rather large and imposing gun. Of course, on the top here, it also has the Fallen's insignia. Which is a nice attention to detail. We also have here in his left hand, we have a machete. Interesting look there. While we've got him laid down, we might as well fight the other weapon out of his hand. We have this polearm weapon. And it should be noted that it does separate into two pieces. You've got the stick here. And then, of course, you have a dual blade for the top. And it is, as you can see, it is notched in a specific way. So the blade only attaches in one way, and that's it. Standing him back up now, we go over here and we remove the next accessory, which is it's intended to be a missile pod. No, it's just another cannon. Right over here is the missile pod. So we may get the next thing we look at. Right here is the missile pod. So like we said, he does come loaded to bear. The one on this shoulder does not come off, but we also have to remove his flame effects. And as you can see, there is a right and a left due to the fact they connect to his shoulders. These were added to go along with the saying that he's always on fire, as he was depicted that way in the artwork for the War Within comics. So this was Hasbro's way of being able to convey that look. And lastly, we have a couple of small flames. And these are the same, except for the fact that on the back ends, they have a hole in the center. And since the hole is only on the one side, to make him complete, you do need one of each. So do bear that in mind if you buy a loose Fallen. Now let's take a look at Megatronus's articulation. He has a little bit more than what you would expect. His head can be turned from side to side, and it is on a ball joint, so it will rock up and down. His arms can stretch out only so far, but they do rotate at the shoulder all the way. You can bend his arm at the elbow 90 degrees, and he does have a swivel at the bicep. So he has G.I. Joe battle grip. As you can see, his hands do open and close. In fact, that's how you have to get his weapons into his hands. They must be opened. And of course, he has rotation at his wrist. He can be twisted at his hips, so you can get some dance moves going with him. Not that he's the kind that would. You can spread his legs apart into almost a full split. Nope, you can do a full split. I just didn't have the thighs connected perfectly. He does have a slight thigh cut. It's not much of one, but he does have it. His leg can be twisted at the knee. You can raise his leg at the hip 90 degrees. And you can bend his leg at the knee 90 degrees. And we apparently knocked off the one side covering there at his hip. Excuse me a moment while I go retrieve it. Alright, before we transform him, I wanted you to see from Megatronus that you can store his weapons on his backside. The two bladed weapons do attach here on the posts on his back. The Requiem Blaster can be stored against the shoulder. But to transform him, we don't need these things or want them in our way. But you do need to reattach the missile pod onto his shoulder for transformation purposes. Alright, now that we got him straightened out, we'll go ahead and get him transformed. We start by coming down here to his hands. You fold them outwards, like so. Then you'll rotate the hand inside, and then close that back up. So make sure that while you're doing that, you have his hands in a fully enclosed fist. Otherwise, they will not fit. There you go. You'll hear it pop in there. He is a little top heavy, so you do have to be careful with that when you're playing with him. Then once you've done that, take his arms and do a full 180 turn. So that these larger protrusions are along his side like that. And then we're going to come here and we lift up the chest plate like so. Once you have it all the way up, we'll then rotate his arms at the shoulder, folding them inwards, but not totally. We're just bringing it so that you can see the holes along the side. Then once we do that, we can fold this whole section of his chest downwards. Then we'll rotate the arms from the outside edge, like so. Then now, we bring down the head and chest. By separating it out and pulling it outwards a bit. And then we can get in here, fold these pieces out, fold them up, and they should attach like that. These are starting to form the treads. And once we've done that, we'll come back here and we turn his head so it's facing the other way. And then these side panels on his chest plate should fold forwards. Once you've done that, you'll rotate it at the center to turn them around, like so. And then we start to fold it back. And fold his chest up against it as best we can. So we're going to come here, we're going to rotate the tread pieces outward a bit. Then we can get that into its proper place. Once the treads have been folded outward, we raise up these pieces on the side and then rotate them. So that now they face the other way. Then of course once we've done that, then they can be folded back down. Just like that. And then you would continue to fold them. And we'll realign his chest. Because as you can see, there is a bar at an angle there. And it should line up with a groove in the chest plate. So you may need to make some adjustments to get it lined up. And there we go. It's connected, or at least it was on the one side. There we go. Now we got it connected. Now, once of course we have done that, we come down here to his waist and we're going to turn that section all the way around like so. Flip up the hip pieces. Although be careful with that, because as you've seen, they do come off with very little effort. Then we're going to come down here. You rotate his legs at the knee all the way around. Do a 180 on them. Just like that. Then you got a couple of panels here that we will fold up like so. And then we fold out these pieces, these treads, on his legs. Once they have been folded, you can come to his feet and fold them downwards. Then once they are down, you can bring the treads back up. And then we will pop his legs out at the thigh and fold them upwards. This is going to take a little effort. Excuse me. Alright folks, that took a little effort, but I wanted to be careful. First time I did it, I ended up pinching a finger, so I really didn't want to do that on camera. Alright, once you get them to move, you can bring them up and they connect to the rest of the body. Doesn't make a really loud click when it does. Alright, once we do that, then you can fold these panels back down and kind of keep them in close proximity to each other. Because then we extend this piece. You'll see there's a couple of posts on here, and you should line them up with the little tiny holes at the bottom of those plates. So extend it as far as you can and fold it back. Unfortunately, mine doesn't seem to be going back all the way. So it makes me wonder, there's where we went wrong. We didn't flip out the hip plate first. That plate on his hip should go out first, and then these connect to it. Yep, there's a thing right there on the bottom for it to connect to. And now this should fold down, and everything should line up and connect. Doo-doo-dee-doom. There we go. That's what's holding us up. And there we are. Everything's all snug and connected. So now once we've done that, we got to come over here and get the Requiem Blaster. Because we got to raise it up. And then I fully extend it. We come also down here to the grip, and it's got to be folded outwards like so. Then we get the small gun here. You take the post on it and you fold it backwards. Attach them together. And this will obviously form the turret. You will attach it to one of the shoulders. Then you will bring them up and fold them together, connecting it all as one. Then, of course, once you've done that, you can raise up this set of weapons. And we'll fold out the missile pod section so that it goes along the side. And then there you have it. Megatronus is in his tank mode. Which, while it ain't much to look at, I will give it this. It certainly looked a lot better than the flying machine that they tried to pass him off as in the studio series thing. All the detail went into making the robot. Since we barely, if at all, saw the vehicle mode, you can't ask me on that. I only saw Revenge of the Fallen once, and that was one time too many after I saw it. Unfortunately, now you do get a rotating turret out of him, so that's always good when you get a tank toy. You want the turret to rotate. And of course, the gun can also be elevated. So that's a nice bit of detail. But now we get the options of mounting the weaponry and such. Starting with the large flames. Those, they each have a post on them. You just connect that post onto the turrets here. So that way we've got them there. The rest of the accessories, you just take the blades, the two bladed weapons, you connect them together, and you've got one large staff. And then the smaller flames can then be attached to the machete. And then you will attach the weapon to onto the sides here, but the instructions should really say that the flames should be attached to this bladed weapon, then the machete can be connected. I mean, yeah, they got it right here when they show it being attached to the tank, but up here they clearly have it attached to the wrong weapon. Kind of Hasbro, get your illustrators to do the job right. But at least that way you get a way to hold the weapons, and when it's displayed from this side, the only thing you get is a protrusion of the machete, so that's a minor gripe, really. But we now get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Megatronus? I like how this one turned out better than the Studio Series one, which is the only other one that I have that's a favorable comparison to. Now, I mean, that one, it did have some great posability and did look pretty good in its robot form. But I like how this one looks better. Instead of being this scrawny, skinny-looking thing, this one stands out as a bulky, mean oppressor. You look at him and you can tell he means business. So I do like how it turned out. I do like the weapons that it came with, although I think they should have really permanently attached the missile pod instead of making it a loose accessory. Because that's just asking for another thing to get lost. The flame effects, they're okay, but I think we could have done without them, to be honest. I don't know how they could have made the always on fire look come off, but I don't really care for how it looks on the toy. It's okay, but then when you have to put them on the tank, the effect is gone, you know? It just looks kind of corny with a couple of big sections of flame on the turret. So all in all, this one's kind of a mix for me, folks. I mean, don't get me wrong, I also don't mind the tank mode too much, especially since it looks better than the Studio Series flying machine. But not by a whole lot. It at least is more convincing than that flying machine was. All in all, this one isn't bad, but it's also not great. But again, that's also just my opinion. That concludes my review of the Age of the Primes version of Megatronus the Fallen. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please do remember that if you love the content we feature on this channel, Larry and I would certainly appreciate some likes, shares, comments, and subscriptions. YouTube's algorithms are watching for interactions from our viewers. So it's a small step from all of you, but it does mean a lot to those of us here at the channel. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later, because next Friday we'll be celebrating our 10th anniversary, and we got something special lined up for it. So we'll catch you all later.